Bruce Lee is the most influential modern martial artist in history. He was also voted one of the most influential figures in the 20th century by Time magazine. He learned Kung Fu when he was young. His nickname was translated as "Never Sits Still." He was all fire and action, activity and movement. And his instructor, Yip Man, was forever trying to get this young man to calm that energy and to teach the importance of flexibility and fluidity and gentleness, not just strength and cunning that Bruce Lee was so amazing at. And Bruce Lee would listen and he would try, but in his eagerness and through his temper, those things would often get the best of him. And Bruce thought, isn't it better to win however I can win? What does gentleness have to do with winning and self-defense anyway? While Bruce was training, Yip Man would have to come and step in again and again and tell Bruce, conserve your energy. Don't use it all at one time. Conserve it. Be mindful. Go with the natural flow of things. Yip Man told him, never assert yourself against nature. Control the situation by going with it instead of fighting it. However, Bruce would not catch on. And in frustration, one time, Yip Man told Bruce, take a week off. Take a whole week and do not practice your self-defense. And in frustration, Bruce went down and he got into a small boat at the Hong Kong harbor. He stepped in and he rowed out in the water. And then at one point he just stopped. And he was thinking about what his teacher had taught him. And he thought, what could I possibly be doing wrong? I'm doing this so well. But he's always telling me to go within and be calm and conserve my energy. And in frustration, he leaned over and he punched the water. And he punched it again. And he punched it again. And then he lifted his hand out of the water and he looked at the water flowing down his hand. And he had this to say about that. Had not this water just now illustrated to me the principle of Kung Fu? I stuck it. I struck it, but it did not suffer hurt. Again, I struck it with all my might, yet it was not wounded. I tried to grasp a handful, but it just moved through my hand, and I couldn't grab it. The water, the softest substance in the world, which could be contained in the smallest jar, seemed weak. Yet in reality, it could penetrate the hardest substances in the world. And that's what I wanted to be like. I wanted to be like the nature of water. Later, he coined the phrase, be water, my friend. There are so many things to be uncertain about in our lives. You know, we look at the conditions on our planet right now with the virus, with so much uncertainty, so much difficulty in politics in our country and in the world. And many of us wonder, will I be able to keep my job? Will I get sick? Well, what will be the effects of climate change? And humans, as us, fear uncertainty. And we will do just about anything that we possibly can to avoid an uncertain situation. True for you? I mean, we want to know what's going on, don't we? You know, experts have some guesses about these difficult situations, but there's no certainty, which makes us go nuts, doesn't it? Because we want to know. And part of the reason we fear uncertainty is that we think that we should and we can completely control our lives. How's that working for you? And I think this illusion of control happens because there are times in our lives when we are in control. And we feel like, woo, look what I did. Look what I created. Look at how cool I am. Look what I made. Look what I can do. Ever feel that way? And then there's other times when it just seems like everything is totally out of control. And as hard as we try, we can't get a grasp on it and make things happen the way we want. You know, sickness, old age, and death and other things show up from time to time. And they kind of get in the way of our plans. You know, the problem isn't that there is uncertainty in life. The problem is that we're not okay with uncertainty showing up in the first place. And the bizarre irony in all of this is that uncertainty is the only certainty. What would our lives be like if we were okay with certainty? If we were okay with uncertainty? So just imagine what life would be like if everything was predictable. Everything was known, it was stable, it was unchanging, and there would be no novelty or room for surprises because we would know that everything is going to happen just the way we know it's going to happen. Wouldn't that be great? But then there would be no room for adventure, no room for innovation, no room for originality or creativity. There would be no room for freedom. So uncertainty is a gift. So we're going to look at today about how can this uncertainty be a gift to us? How can we be blessed by it? How can we operate our lives knowing that there's always going to be uncertainty? I like what John Allen Paulos, the American professor of mathematics, said. Knowing how to live with insecurity is the only security. So we can just take a breath and be with that, knowing that this is the natural state of the conditions in our world, is that things are uncertain. So how can we accept the gift of uncertainty? The first strategy to accept the gift of uncertainty is to be water, my friend. This quote comes from Bruce Lee, of course, and it seems to mean, simply means, one of those words that begins with an S. I had my dictionary flying in front of me. It's like, which one of these words works the best here? It simply means to be flexible in both mind and body. And just show up wherever we are, whatever we're doing, being flexible. Because have you ever noticed that being hard and rigid gets us in trouble? How does it feel to resist everything and fight what's going on rather than just being in the flow and going with it? So this means to not being rigid in our beliefs, in our practices, in our understanding, in our wisdom. Instead, be able to change with the current conditions. I am flexible in mind and body and move with the flow of life. The second strategy to accept the gift of uncertainty is to realize that uncertainty drives the quest for knowledge and creativity. Because it's when we don't know or we desire to know something, that's when our body and our spirit clicks in and moves into this place of creativity and wanting to know, wanting to figure it out, wanting to find a way, a solution to a situation or a problem that's in front of us. You know, scientists know this. Scientists live with the idea of exploring and finding the solution to a problem. So they have to be flexible to get into the consciousness and the ability to draw upon the resources to come up with innovative ideas. Theoretical physicist Richard Feynman wrote, "I don't have to know the answer. I do not feel frightened not knowing things. I don't have to feel frightened by being lost in a mysterious universe without any purpose. Just to be open-minded to whatever it is. Isn't that exciting? Can you see the excitement in that? And that's what this gift of uncertainty is about, is how can we change the way we're thinking to see it as an opportunity for spiritual advancement instead of letting it limit what we do because we're afraid of it. Have you ever felt frightened and lost when you are uncertain? Anyone? I think it's part of our nature, isn't it? We get this, I get this pang of fear sometimes when I can't come up with the right word. It rhymes with it. Now I'm into rhyming and not just the letters. Wow, what an adventure, huh? To be in this place of uncertainty and I don't have any idea what I'm going to say. And then I have to figure out how I'm going to recover from whatever I said. But what an adventure. If we can be in that place of knowing that creativity is going to come from it and we're going to find a solution to that uncertainty. So when we embrace uncertainty, we open ourselves to creativity. Uncertainty is often rewarded with creative thinking. Wow, isn't that great? So the third strategy is to have confidence in your ability to adapt. I love that. To be open to whatever is going to happen. I get to be open to whatever I'm going to say, because God knows I don't know where it's coming from. But it's about embracing that and knowing that whatever happens, you have the ability to adapt to it. I have the ability to adapt to it. So just kind of see it as this, wow, this place that where we're at, that we get to connect with the allness, the presence of spirit in the universe within ourselves and adapt to the current situation instead of being afraid of the uncertainty and being afraid that we won't be able to respond appropriately. Alan Watts, the English writer, theologian, speaker, and known also for popularizing Buddhism, talks about faith as an attitude of being, about being open to whatever is. He says, this implies that rather than having faith in making the right decision, I'm placing my faith in my ability to wisely adapt to whichever choice I'm making. Wow. That just to me turns the idea of faith on its heels, doesn't it? You know, it's not about having faith in something out here that's going to happen, or some creator somewhere going to make something happen, or some demigod that's going to create something. That I have faith that I have the ability to adapt to whatever happens. So my faith is in the presence of spirit. It's in my intellectual ability and in your intellectual ability for yourself to adapt to whatever shows up for you. And he goes on to say, in this sense, faith is not about trying to eliminate the uncertainty. It's about being comfortable with uncertainty. You could almost say faith is synonymous with uncertainty. So I'm going to show you in a minute the absolute best way to make a decision. I figured it out. And it's simple. And this is a simple technique that we can use, you can use any time to make a difficult decision. Are you up for that? You want to see what that is? Yeah, you've probably never heard of it before. Flip a coin. Huh? Now that's where true wisdom comes from, right? You can't decide what to do. You can't decide to marry the guy or not. Flip a coin. And you can say you heard it from the minister at Unity Church. You don't have to be looking for divine wisdom. You don't have to read any books. You simply flip a coin. Yeah? And then you check in and see how that feels. Right? You say, for example, okay, I'm going to marry that girl. Right? I flipped the coin. It said, marry that girl. That's what I'm going to do. And then I check in and go, how does that feel? Am I getting a, woo-hoo, yes, that's the right one? Or do I think better, let's do best out of 5. So the wise way to approach it is to place our faith in the ability to choose wisely and then adapt to whatever needs to be done after making the choice. You know, and we know that everything is impermanent. And this means that things are constantly changing and that we get to change with them. And the decision that we made yesterday might not be the right decision for today because things are changing, things are impermanent. And so we want to be open to the ability to change our mind. Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, famously said, I reserve the right to change my mind. I was thinking about a politician recently who changed his mind. And often the media roast somebody for changing their mind. But I'm thinking, what a great thing. You got new wisdom, you change your mind. Wise people change their minds. Wise people are flexible in mind and move with the flow of life. Let's remind each other of that by saying this affirmation together. I am flexible in mind and body and move with the flow of life. The fourth strategy to accept the gift of uncertainty is to celebrate uncertainty. And I think that we've talked about many things ways that we can celebrate it today, and to really just be in that place of being, all right, wow, how great is this? I get to celebrate uncertainty. Wow, I don't know the answer to this. And instead of getting fearful and doubting it, just to be able to say, great, I don't feel certain about something, so I get to create something new right now. We don't just tolerate uncertainty, we celebrate it. American poet John Keats called our human experience a veil of soul making. And to me, that means that the decisions that we make, the consciousness that we carry is the veil. It's the creative process, the flowing of making our soul, building our consciousness, creating a life of power and being flexible. You might remember. Anybody know who this character is here? That's Indiana Jones. And this is what's famously called the step of faith. And Indiana Jones was running from something. I don't remember exactly, but I know he was running from something. And he came to the edge of this cliff. There was a boulder. Maybe it was a boulder inside that cave. So he comes and to the end, and he's standing on this cliff, right? And it's apparently miles down. And he's looking and trying to decide. And it's interesting. One part, he even puts his hands over his heart, like, what is the heartful thing to do right now? And he sticks out his foot and takes a breath. and magically, the bridge comes out of nowhere and comes up to meet him. And he's able to walk across that bridge. You know, oftentimes in our life, when we take a chance, when there's an uncertain decision and we take a step out of our consciousness, out of a place of consciousness, often the bridge comes up to meet us. And sometimes it doesn't. And so we take a leap. And in either case, we know that we can adapt to our circumstances regardless of what happens. I am flexible in mind and body and move with the flow of life. You might remember the story of the three princes of Serendip. It's an old Persian fairy tale going back 1,000 years, and it consists of historical facts and also some embellished folklore, which makes it kind of fun. But it's based on the life of King Bahram V, who ruled an empire located predominantly in modern-day Iran from 420 to 440 AD. Now, the king's three sons were sent away from their kingdom, Serendip, in the Far East. The three sons were informed that a camel was missing. So they combined their intuitive wisdom. And they came up with a plan. They came up with an idea of what that camel looked like. And they pictured this as a one-eyed camel holding butter containers on one side and honey on the other side, and carrying a pregnant woman across the desert. So they told a stranger about their vision, and it freaked the stranger out so much that he grabbed them and took them to the emperor and had them tell their tale in front of the emperor, supposedly being arrested. And so the three princes told the emperor how they were able to decipher the clues to come up with the appearance of this camel. And shortly after they described it to the emperor, a traveler entered the scene and informs the court that he had just seen such a camel wandering the desert. And rather than being punished, the princes were handsomely rewarded and appointed advisors to the emperor. And everyone lives happily ever after. So the word serendipity comes from this story of the three princes of Serendip. Serendipity means that good things happen that sometimes that one is not looking for. And to me, it means that if we are in this place of spiritual consciousness, if we are acting from our highest desire, if we are living our lives with integrity and love, then things are going to happen that are positive, that we're going to step off that cliff and a bridge will rise up and carry us and lead us to our destination. So this story really is that with our good intentions, we can expect to live prosperous and happy lives. And the fifth strategy to accept, what was the fifth step? So I have one final thought, and that is to learn to go with the flow. To be like water, my friend. To think of how water adapts immediately to anything and everything. Water is the ultimate expression and example of adaptability and uncertainty. Because it, in its essence, can adapt to anything. Water has the power to change anything. Water in the form of a river flows through a canyon and adapts to whatever the path needs to be for it to flow. At the same time, the water is carving the path. So the strength of water is found in its adaptability. If we can go through life in the same way, we can be like water. We can adapt to the circumstances around us and at the same time shape those conditions. We are shaping them because we are adapting to them. I am flexible in mind and body and move with the flow of life. Say that with me. I am flexible in mind and body and move with the flow of life. I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Moving with the flow of the breath. As you breathe, allow your mind and body the place to relax, to be free. Bruce Lee said, "Be water, my friend." And imagine that in this moment, your mind, your body, your spirit are like water. Soft, flowing, powerful. And imagine that you are moving and flowing through your life. Through all the challenges, the opportunities, carving your way. Through your passion and your love, you are affecting the very presence of life, bringing this flowing attitude into your home, to your relatives, your friends. Moving with the flow of life. And let's take just a moment or two to be with that flow in the silence. Be water, my friend. Be flexible in mind and body. And move with the flow of life. And I invite you to allow your awareness to flow back into this moment, to feel the light in this room, the breeze, the peace, and then to open your eyes whenever you're ready. All right, at this time, I invite you to prepare your love offerings. And as you do so, to give thanks for unity on Maui. We hope that our messages bless your life. And we hope and pray that the truth that you glean through these teachings is increasing the way that you show up in your life. Thank you for the work that you do. I know that as you participate and give to Unity on Maui, that you are a part of the energy and the light and the love that move through these teachings and are so similar to so many teachers. We base our principles on so many wisdom teachers that have been on this planet, and that's what I love about Unity. And I know that each of us, in our own special way, is a part of this energy of love and transformation that is happening right now. So as we hold our gifts, let's pray and affirm our affirmation of prosperity, which begins: through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. Thank you. And thank you, loving Spirit, for these gifts that have come to us in love. We hold them, we bless them, we give thanks for them, and we know that they are moving through this ministry out into the world. And we behold a world filled with love, with light, with joy, and with peace. And so it is. Thank you. As Kailani disappears behind the white door, these flowers today are offered by her. She writes, "These flowers are in honor of my magnificent husband and mother's love that abides in me." So thank you, Kailani. And if you'd like to bring flowers on Sunday, that would be very much appreciated. We can dedicate them to something that you'd like them to be dedicated to. And there is a sign-up sheet on the table. And anyone out there watching on Facebook, you can also make sure flowers are here, and we'd love to dedicate them to a cause of yours as well. And let's see. Kailani is going to be speaking next week, and her talk is titled Anam Kara, a committed love affair. In this talk, Anam Kara, a committed love affair, Kailani will share the meaningful insights of wisdom of the late great Irish poet and philosopher John O'Donoghue in his book titled Anam Kama, a book of Celtic wisdom. In this book, O'Donoghue explained that the art of love, known as soul friend, is sublime because it permits us to enter the ancient belonging teaching. So what is belongingness and why is it important? Kailani writes, belongingness is defined and as an emotional need that we have to be an accepted member of a community, to be an important part of something bigger than ourselves. And that is the heart of Anam Kara, a belongingness born of love, commitment, and union. It speaks of the Christ consciousness in an inclusive way, uniting us with the divine within and with each other. So you can join Kailani next week, and then she's going to present this amazing talk for us right here at 10 o'clock, and be on Facebook Live at the same time next Sunday. Let's see. Also, I've got 5 people so far interested in joining our new member class, and I'm really excited about that. We're currently looking to see if anybody else is interested, and we're also looking to find a date that works best for all of us or most of us. So if you're interested in being a part of this amazing spiritual community and have our love and support on your journey, come and join our class, or pay attention and I'll tell you when that class is going to be. And if you are a member of Unity on Maui, every year we get to re-enlist as members of this ministry. And so if you're watching on Facebook Land and you're a member, send us an email to the church saying that you want to continue your membership. And if you're here in the sanctuary and you haven't filled out a membership card, a renewal, they're on the table in the back. And let's see, I think that is about it. Thank you again for being here this morning. It's great to be with you in person. And thank you for those of you watching us online. It's nice to have you here as well. So why don't we stand and take a deep breath, and let's pray and affirm the prayer for protection together, which begins, the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is. God bless you, friend. Mahalo. See you next week. Aloha. Where I live, they're all raised.